coming up is Kell Special K Brook versus Mark DeLuca. Now, Kell Brook was one of the pound-for-pound best in the sport and had the wind at his back after capturing the 147-pound title by being the first person to beat Shawn Porter. That was more than 5 years ago and now feels like a distant memory because after defending the title successfully 3 times, he thought it would be a good idea to challenge undefeated 160-pound champ and all-time dominant destroyer Triple G at 160, 2 weight classes up. It was kind of similar to former 4-division champ Mikey Garcia challenging Errol Spence Jr. up at 147 with no experience in that division and only 1 fight at 140, the division below. I made a video before that fight giving the reasons why this was potential career suicide. It was his biggest payday, but he got shut out by Spence, and it took every bit of Garcia's boxing intelligence not to get badly hurt in that fight. There was little chance of him winning, but hey, sometimes the greats, they need to find out. And if Garcia had won that fight, it would have been one of the most improbable and excellent accomplishments in modern boxing history. But again, Garcia doesn't appear to have taken a career-altering beating. We'll see how he looks against Jesse Vargas at the end of February. Tough fight at 147 again. But when Kell Brook challenged Triple G, he wasn't so lucky. Brook, who we're used to seeing look amazing, even against top talent like Porter, he got off to a fast start against Triple G, flashing his fast hands and beating him to the punch at times. But Triple G hurt him pretty early. By the end of the first round, started coming on stronger in the 3rd and the 4th round, and was starting to punish him by the 5th round, where Brook's corner threw in the towel. Brook never hit the canvas, he's tough as nails, and he wasn't completely defenseless, but it doesn't take Triple G very long to make your bad situation exponentially worse with almost any of his power punches. Brook left that fight upright, and again, this was a stoppage, not a pure knockout, but it turned out that the monstrous Triple G damaged Brook's eye socket, which required surgery. Ouch. That's a career-threatening injury. So Brook, who is by all counts too damn tough and competitive for his own good, still has the 147-pound title after that loss. Remember, he fought Triple G up at 160, but he's still the 147-pound IBF champ. This Triple G fight was for Triple G's 160-pound titles. Brook's belt wasn't on the line. So what does Brook do? He comes back down 2 weight classes to defend his belt against a mandatory contender, the then rising sensation Errol Spence Jr. And this fight is only 8 months removed from his devastating experience against Triple G. Now you're gonna quickly heal? You just had surgery to fix your eye and then get back to training and depleting your body of at least 15 additional pounds so you could get on the scales versus the most feared fighter in the division? Now, excluding Pacquiao, one of boxing's cash cows, the 2 best welterweights at the time were Kell Brook and Keith Thurman. Porter's lost to both, but his Thurman fight was closer. And then the wild card in the division was this young lion, Spence, who was obliterating opponents, including tough, experienced fighters like Chris Algieri and Leonard Bundu. He stopped Algieri in the 5th and knocked Bundu out cold in the 6th. Bundu had only lost once, and that was a decision to Thurman. So Brook comes back from his Triple G disaster, a spirited fight and effort, but a disaster. And then has a classic, an absolute classic fight with Errol Spence Jr. that Spence ended up winning with a TKO in the 11th. This was a back and forth war. And if that wasn't bad enough for Brook, Spence broke Brook's other eye socket, which required another surgery. So now Brook has no belts, 2 losses, and 2 badly damaged and repaired eyes. So excuse Brook if he hasn't exactly looked his best in his only 2 fights over the next 2.5 years after those experiences. He just had 2 horrific events occur in the ring. He performed great in both fights, especially versus Spence, but the toll was heavy and he's been way less active since. And those 2 recent fights since Triple G and Spence, they were both at 154, 1 division up from his natural weight class of 147, facing bigger guys who could take his punch a little better. To his credit, he scored a knockout in the first of those versus Sergey Rabchenko. His other fight was a sizable but difficult decision win versus Michael Zarafa, whose length and power punching were giving Brook some problems. But I just don't like where Brook is in terms of his prospects recapturing his elite status going forward. There have been talks about retirement, how many fights he thinks he has left, his desire to have a couple big money fights and then hang it up. 1 foot in, 1 foot out type of talk. And that's a very concerning place to be in boxing. I think that he had, and might still have, among the best set of well-rounded tools. But one, he's getting older. 33 isn't ancient, but he's definitely in the latter half of his career. How rapid the decline will be remains to be seen, but anything short of absolute commitment worries me. With that said, I don't think that his next opponent, Mark DeLuca, will be the one to expose the potential cracks in the armor. Sure, Brook's eyes will be a question in every fight to come, and this fight is back down at 147, Brook's original weight, so I don't know how easily he can get there. It's been almost 3 years since he last competed at 147, and cutting weight usually becomes more difficult the older you get and the more your body naturally fills out, especially if you're not eating perfectly and working out every day. Brook should beat DeLuca, who's 24-1, but hasn't fought anyone the caliber of Kell Brook, or at least the Brook that we're used to seeing. If Brook is still anywhere near peak level Brook, he wins this, probably by knockout or stoppage. This fight will hopefully position him to finally fight his fellow UK rival and nemesis Amir Khan. Those two have had this cat and mouse, we're going to fight, we're not going to fight thing going on. And based on the evidence that I've read, it's been Khan, the bigger name of the two, who's been keeping this one from happening. He's probably demanding the lion's share of the money, which is fair, and he himself has taken on either big names for big paydays like Canelo and Terrence Crawford, or fighters that he can steamroll and look good against so he can stay busy and work towards his next shot at a big fight. If Brook beats DeLuca, which he should, I'd like to see him fight Khan or Mikey Garcia, assuming Garcia beats Jesse Vargas, which is no walk in the park, and if Garcia then stays committed to continuing at 147, which I always thought was a bad idea. Good for the paydays, bad for the health. You got some monsters there, and they're bigger than Garcia. Garcia's perfect opponent should have been Lomachenko 1 to 2 years ago, but politics kept that dream fight from happening. Sucks for the fans. Let me know what you think of this Brook DeLuca fight, and about Kell Brook and his career, and about his decision to fight back-to-backs with Triple G and Spence, and how things look for Brook going forward. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I'm Woog, thanks for tuning in.